Well, hey, out there in Twitch land. Here we are again with a new Saturday morning serial episode. Vicky and I are here in the studio at the Bomb Shop at Bombshell Miniatures, and she's doing a little bit more painting this morning on Major Tom, our little Critterkins kit. When did that come out? Last year?
Yeah, like right before. It was pretty close to ReaperCon last year. So
we did take it to ReaperCon last year.
Yeah. So. Good morning, everybody.
Yay. Well, I appreciate you guys coming in and taking a look at what we have this morning. I've got some stuff to show you guys. Where we're checking the stream to see, if it's getting out like it's supposed to, and it's showing that it's running right now. So check and see what it's showing on the display over there. Are you getting anything on that? No.
I'm not seeing anything.
All right. Well,
we are experiencing technical difficulties.
Much like we did last week. However, the technical difficulties last week were a little bit different.
Uh-huh.
So let's see what we're doing here.
Maybe we can get that fixed here in just a second. And maybe not.
Maybe not. Yeah, it's showing up. It's showing up in the app. So yeah. I'm looking at the...
maybe it's just an issue with my iPad. It
might be. So we'll check that and see. But I'm gonna go ahead and continue on because I wanna go ahead and show some stuff, and it'll be recording it out there to the archive anyway.
Sure.
So last week we had some questions about whether we were streaming live and what if we had previous episodes and all this kind of thing, and I guess it was Treadhead over on our Facebook group that was asking about that. And a couple of years ago, I guess it was 2018, it was right after we had moved out here, we were having internet connectivity problems. We were the only service that I could find that would give us reliable connectivity was HughesNet, which was a satellite internet service. And so we were restricted with I guess 30 gigabytes per month was what we were capped off at. And so I had done a few episodes of Saturday Morning Serial, and then I think I had done a couple of episodes of On the Workbench. And that's another show that we've got kind of in the works that's coming later on, and we're going to do that as like a weekly evening show. That's kind of a hobby hangout type of thing with us working on projects. But anyway, so I had uploaded those to YouTube, and because we didn't have a lot of internet in order to keep doing that, I kind of put it on hold until we could get that upgraded. Well, as you can see, we're back. So last week we did our first episode, and I basically just labeled it as season 2, even though we kind of had a couple of year break in between those. And it's kind of the opposite, I guess, for what everybody else was doing, because like with the lockdown and the pandemic, pretty much everybody, had nothing to do but, doing inside hobby stuff and streaming stuff on the internet. And we were kind of
isolated.
Yeah.
We had a technical difficulty, lack of internet streaming hiatus is what we've had.
Exactly. So it was pretty tough for us to participate in the internet goings on that everybody else was getting to do. So now that all that's over with, we've gotten our internet thing resolved, and we've kind of started up doing this again. So
yay!
Hopefully you'll find some of the things that we're working on interesting and so forth. So I'll get to what we've been working on this week. So for the past month, we've been going through the next batch of Kickstarter rewards fulfillment, and the last batch of stuff I ran. I guess there were 6 runs of the core ship kit that we had. So it included the scout ship kit itself, plus all of the unlocked stretch goal items that were attached along with it that were included. So you get the sensor array package and the booster rocket and the
little small tactical scout ship.
Yep, you get the little mini ship
and
the
cargo fuel thing. It seems like a lot of people really like that.
Yeah. There's all the crates and the barrels and stuff.
And the weapon. There was like a little weapon.
It's a defense weapon package.
Yeah.
Okay, and the defense weapon package has got like a sample of like all of the 5 different counterblast weapons, and there's a little turret that's on the top of the ship
with a seat, and it comes with a bubble helmet, a bubble dome thing, so you can.
Yeah, there's a little clear dome that fits on the top of that.
Yeah.
So I ran all of that stuff, and then while we were working on getting the rest of the next 2 items in
the Strafer and the Clonin Array.
Right, and so we'll get into that here. The other thing that happened last week on last Friday was, and in the last episode we talked about this, which was Lilu had actually dropped into our lives
with the big bada boom.
Big bada boom, yeah. She showed her multi-pass to get into the house, and we let her in. So, and Vicky talked about last week, how she kind of found her outside, and clearly she's acclimated to people. I mean, she's not a feral cat. She's very friendly and all this, and since we've brought her into the house, the other older cats are hesitant.
They're still getting used to her.
Natiri is still stressed about it.
Yeah, Natiri's still,
Yeah,
displeased.
Mm-hmm. She does her hissing and
no longer being the only queen cat of the household.
Right. So she's doing a little hissing, a little growling, and that sort of thing. So, but anyway, all Lilu wants to do is she wants to play.
She wants to play with them so bad. It's so funny.
Yeah. So, and she's been chasing Shastan around. Now, Shastan that you see here in the picture, he's pretty goofy and he's just a big dopey cat. And so he's not really sure what's going on. So he doesn't know how to respond to her and everything. But I think he wants to play too. And yeah. I think it'll be a few more weeks before they get like really settled in together. But so that's been very stressful for us, the humans in the house, because.
But it's getting better because they were all hanging out on the couch together, and nobody was hissing or nothing.
Right, they were all
just chilling on the couch together. So
yeah,
things are improving.
Yeah. I mean, and it could be a lot worse,
Oh yeah.
So they're starting to get more comfortable together, and I think that's great. But it's kind of tough right now juggling the feeding, because it's like, well, I'm having to kind of incorporate, getting her food and making sure. Now she's a little raccoon in the fact that she will eat everything.
Yes, she will.
And
she will eat everything. Terry won't touch Shastan's food because it's like a prescription diet food, and like, if you have to do her food first, because if that spoon touched his food and then her food, she won't eat her.
She's not going to have it. Yeah.
But Lilu doesn't really care. It's like, hey, that's food. I'm going to eat it. And so you got to really be careful. She's gotten herself to where I thought she was going to pop.
Yeah. Yeah. Her little tummy this morning after eating all of that was pretty distended. It was like she was carrying a little balloon around with her. But anyway, So she finally got sleepy and settled down and everything, and so we were able to come out here to the shop and do our show this morning for you guys. So that's one of the things that we've been working on this week is trying to get them acclimated.
Wrangle cats.
Is do some cat
wrangling.
Yes.
And y'all ought to know what a job that is.
Yeah. So the other thing that we were doing, some of the other stuff that I was working on was the assembly guide for the scout ship. So what I've been doing is going through the files of the parts in ZBrush and rendering out some of the images and so forth. So I can create a little PDF that will show you guys how to assemble the parts for the scout ship. And I'm hoping that some of those of you who are more industrious modelers have been able to just kind of dive right in and sort of figure out, it's if you look at the picture of the ship, it's pretty straightforward as to kind of how those parts go together. But for those of you that are a little bit more comfortable with an assembly guide, then you'll be able to kind of go through this and it'll show you.
Like me.
Yeah. It's like, well, here's what to glue and where not to glue, and then some options and things like that. So, and then in future episodes of On the Workbench, I'm actually going to be putting parts of those together. So, I've gotten a little LED kit that I ordered from a company online. I'll show you guys that once we start getting into that. But I'm going to be putting the engines together with LED lighting and stuff in that, so you can kind of see how that goes. And plus there's some other things that you may want to magnetize, and so I can kind of talk about some of that stuff on those episodes. So, and the cool thing about it is those will all be archived in Twitch, and from what I understand, Twitch keeps these videos for a certain amount of time. I'm not sure what the length of it is before they kind of start to drop off. But I've been migrating those over to YouTube so that they'll be kept forever on our YouTube channel. There's not an expiration date over on the stuff on YouTube. So you can watch them, at either place after the show. So if you've missed, catching us live this morning while we're recording this, then you can pop on over there at any time this week, and if you've got a few, spare brain cells to kill, that's the way to do it, is checking that out. So some of the other stuff that we were working on, this is the updated cloning array, and I had done a kind of a early version of that was shown on the Kickstarter project, but, once we started getting into the production and molding and casting and everything, with the shortage of the materials, with the increase in the cost of silicon, which has gone up over 50% now.
Yeah.
So for a 18-pound kit or a 2-gallon batch of silicon, I think it was crazy. It was running like $200 before, and now it's like $350. So it's it's 200. No, it's $300. Yeah, that's it. It was $300 now. So we've had a significant increase in that, and with the resin. What happened was last February, a year ago, when Texas had its super freeze, the Arctic vortex came through and shut down the power grid. It put a halt to refinery production.
What is that they make?
Urethane.
Yeah.
Urethane is an important component in polyurethane resin. And it's actually even used, I found out, in plywood. So the reason why, like when you go to Home Depot and you were going to buy a piece of plywood, which would normally be like, $20 or whatever, it was $50 a sheet. And so we were finishing out the attic and so forth in the shop here, and we were trying to get the rest of the plywood, and they were charging $50 and $55 a sheet for that. So that was way inflated. But that's because the shortage of the polyurethane resin that they use to bind the layers of the plywood together. Anyway, so anyway, with those increases in the supply chain shortages and so forth, I decided to go back and kind of tweak how the cloning array sections were laid out. And so I created these little arms with like some hoses. So it cut the volumes of those down quite a bit. So it would require a little bit less silicon and less resin, to cast those. And it also adds, some extra detailing and stuff. So it looks actually kind of cooler than the first one. So, so what I did was I ran a test of some of these parts to make sure that they all fit together correctly. And then after those test prints were assembled and everything, I made sure that the little domes fit and all that. Then I was able to sprue up those parts, and we printed out the actual production pieces. And so this is the base here that I've got glued to the bottom of the mold box. And so I've still got the box to build around that so that I can pour the silicone in there to make the drop mold for that. Because these are all flat on the bottom, it's like a base. I could just make a one-piece mold and then, drop the resin into that in order to make those bases. And so then, we also printed out all of the sprues for the different arm sections and the what I'm calling the core, which is what the little arm sections attaches to that have the cloning pods on it. So those are the production prints, and still need to clean the supports off of those. And then we printed out the little fetus sprues. So there's like the little clone baby with their umbilicals and so forth attached, and that's a sprue of those. And then during the project, I think, and at least afterwards when I posted some pictures of that, we've gotten some suggestions of some alternate things that would be kind of cool to put in the cloning array. So once I can probably get to model those and print them out, we may be offering some alternate sprues as like a set
when we
or
get them
something
in the web store.
Yeah, when we get them in the web store later on, and so that way, if you want like fish or like a Edo thing or something, whatever, there's a little list of some things that we can put in that that make it kind of fun. Maybe some brains or something it's if there were all these tiny little brains in there, it would be like some kind of an pulp AI kind of an array where it's like the supercomputer with like all of these brains implanted into it. And we already have brains in the web store. We've got little sprues of the cyber brain parts where if you guys want to get a jump on that, you could probably order some of those and glue those in place of the little fetus parts. So anyway, there's a bunch of different things that you can do with it, and it would make a cool centerpiece, for a game as far as like maybe an objective thing, and all that. So,
or like a meeting with like a boss med scientist kind of person or something.
Yeah. And so it's like, well, do you want to, is the scenario to destroy the clones or to rescue them or something? I mean, who knows? There's a lot of possibilities that you could come up with it. That would be pretty fun. So then the next thing that's coming up as far as what we're working on after we get finished with the cloning array and the strafer, which I've got some pictures of in a minute, is the tailgun section and the Alani drives. So on the back end of the ship, it's outfitted with 4 of the Illyrian busted drives, typically. So this gives you an option that is like, well, if you wanted to put a tailgun section on the back end of it, then there are Alani design drives that kind of sit off to the side on little pods, and then you can have like a little tailgun section. And there's some work that I'm doing to kind of make that a little bit more consistent with the top turret, so that all those pieces are kind of modular in a way. So there's a little bit more work to do on that before I can start running test prints and everything on that. And then along with what I'm doing on the tail section, we're going to be working on printing out the Gentbot parts. And we already had some Gentbots before, and this is the same. The middle Gentbot chassis is the same, but then with the Bikes and Bots Kickstarter, I kind of created these other little modular bot bodies. So, and all of this is, it's modular, so you can swap out the arms, you can swap out the weapons and put them on any of the things there. And so previously they were STL files, and you could just print them out and assemble them, however you want it. But in this instance, you'll get, one of each part. So you can still assemble them how you want. But, you'll get a set of arms, a little set of weapons, and there's like this has got the fire nozzle and the tank on it, so that you can use it as a
fire suppression bot.
As a fire suppression bot, right. So anything that's, exploded or, on fire, they can run over there and put it out. So
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's pretty handy. Then one of the other things that we're pretty much done on is the strafer. Okay, so the Mecha Strafer, I went and kind of tweaked a little bit on that because I revised the front lenses on it and revised the weapons a little bit. So it's basically the same size. The hull, the wings, and everything are all the same as it was. But some of the new designs that I'm doing to kind of create an identifiable design element for the mechas, they've got like one lens array, eye type thing on them, rather than little smaller lenses, which created problems with some of the molding and casting, where some of it wouldn't come out or it would catch bubbles and that sort of thing. So it's a practical and an aesthetic thing. So anyway, there again, we've already printed test prints of this, assembled them to make sure that all the parts fit, and then we went ahead and ran the molds on them. So yesterday afternoon, I cut all of the molds, got all the production prints out of those, and they just need to be run for the first time. So we'll run through those, make sure that all of those come out okay, and then those parts will be packaged up and ready to ship out with this batch of the Kickstarter fulfillment packages. So looking forward to getting those wrapped up. And then
me too.
once we get done with the Alati drives and the Gentbot set, which is what we're going to be working on next, then we'll move on and do the rest of the pieces for the War Rocket. The cool thing about the War Rocket is that it's modular and fits in with all of the other scout ship parts that we've run so far. So the hull sections, like it includes one of the passenger hull modules, which has the row of the portholes on the side, and then the lower deck is basically the cargo hull that's got the loading ramps and stuff, so that I guess basically if there's passengers that are riding along, they can store their luggage or whatever they're shipping along with them.
Contraband.
Contraband. And then the next two modules are basically custom made. Well, the upper section is custom made for the War Rocket. So the top part it's got the little turret emplacement, which we had before on the weapons hull module, but then there are these little balcony pieces that are off to the side, and basically you can put 2 or 3 little figures on there, so that when it's in atmosphere, they can fire their blasters out the balcony sections and take on whatever flying menace maybe trying to get them. So we'll have that, and then of course the whole front end of the ship is custom. So that's it'll still fit with the other scout ship parts, but it'll be unique, the dome shape and the windows and so forth, to this particular kit. So that's coming up. That'll be the last thing. That's those few parts and the rest of that stuff for the Kickstarter, and then we'll be able to take all of those parts and then release those in the web store, so that the folks that didn't catch the Kickstarter project will still be able to get those as resin kits and as STL files to download and print themselves. So one of the other things that we talked about a little bit last week was the tribes over on my mini factory, and we finished uploading the files for the stuff from the Patreon. Okay, and there were some questions about Patreon that I ran across on a couple of the printing groups, and yes, we did have a Patreon from January to December of 2020. But because we launched the Kickstarter project for the rocket ship, and the fulfillment of that became so
epic.
Yeah,
Monumentous.
monumental. It took over. It just, yeah. So we wound up having to not really cancel the Patreon, but just I put it on hold. As we were working through the fulfillment and stuff on that. So we'll probably return in some way to Tribes over on my mini factory. And so what we did was I had the files that used to be on Dropbox for Patreon, where you would get the little link and then you would have to download the files, and then I had people contact me that I had forgot to download the files, and or they lost them, or their computer crashed and they lost the files and needed to download them again. And so it was a lot of maintenance on that in order to get those situated, each month for people to have access to them. So with this instance, I was able to send the Patreon files over to my mini factory, and we actually had them over there before as in these little collections. So like if you go to our Bombshell Miniatures page, then you can go down here and click on collections. And each one of these collections, like here's the STL files from our Babes 4 project from 2017 or so. Yeah.
That was out here, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was out here. That was the Kickstarter that we ran here. But those.
So it had to have been after 18.
What was it? Okay.
I think 22. We've been here 4 years.
Yeah. So that was.
I don't know.
Yeah, but that was from that Kickstarter project, and then the Monster Babes was the first month. That was January of 2020 because that was our first month that we did on the Patreon. So from then on out, there's like January, February, and then March, and I think April is up here somewhere. But it should say, which month it is in the. Yeah, that's the February Patreon. So like all of these models that it shows here are the STL files that were offered on the February 2020 Patreon month. So basically, what we've been able to do is migrate all of our patrons over from Patreon to my mini factory and add these files to their library. Okay, so if you were, that's the paint mixer.
Yeah, paint mixer.
Paint mixing.
Sorry.
That's okay. So if you were a subscriber on the Patreon, back in February of 2020, and you wanted to have access to your files, then basically you could just log into my mini factory and they would be in your library. So you can go to your library section and let's see, I think it'll show up in here. So let's see, this is the stuff that's in my library because these are the files that I've just recently uploaded. And so and here's one of our collections that we've got here is the classics, Babes Classics. And these were scanned by Ill-Gotten Games for us for their old school archive project. And so we have access to those. You can buy them and download them from their site, or from my mini factory here, or from our Bombshell Miniatures web store in the STL section. So these are all traditionally sculpted babes that we did, that I sculpted in putty. And so they took the original minis and scanned them and then exported them as STL files. So even though they were sculpted practically, you can still print them. You can rescale them and print them out at different sizes and all that. So it makes it a really handy thing to have. And so I'm going to kind of talk with them about scanning some more of those, for us and kind of increasing the library. I'd like to be able to get all of our Babes line that we had practically scanned at some point to where they're archived as digital STL files. But anyway, so but all of that stuff, if you back the Patreon, or if you were a patron on Patreon for whatever month it was, you'll have access to the files of the month that you subscribed. So what we're trying to do right now, and it's going to take a little bit of finagling because it's just Vicky and I working on this. She'll go through next and assign those products to the category. So it's like a group. It would be like, here's the list of the March subscribers on Patreon, and then it would assign these particular files to it. So so that way they'll be in your library. And then once we get that worked out where everything's uploaded, we've still got files for the welcome package that we had over on Patreon, so that you'll have access to that. It's what is it? There was the retro lab. Yeah, there's like a retro lab and the arcane forge that went with the Terry's crew. Yeah. So all of that stuff will be added, and then you'll have access to that stuff too. But once we get that all set up, then we'll look at going back and kind of seeing what we can do with the tribe section. So I've got it set up now to start editing that, and we have like a little placeholder thing, so that I can go back and edit, what all this is going to be. Now, because I'm logged in as Bombshell on here, I can actually see our tribes section and go in and edit it and do the things on there. But it's not live yet, so you won't actually see this tribe tab if you go over to our profile on my mini factory right now. So once that's live, then you'll be able to click on it and see what would be offering at any time. But that's still going to take a little bit to kind of figure out how we want to set that up. Over on Patreon, they've got a way to accept payments if once a creator works on something, and then they can publish the content, and then it charges the patrons. Whereas like a lot of the STL Patreons have like a monthly subscription, so it's like, well, you get charged $10 at the beginning of every month anyway, and then the files are available and so forth. So we're still looking at seeing what we can actually do as far as creating that later on, and then what we're going to want to offer. I'm pretty sure that it's going to be counterblast related, because there's a lot of counterblast models that we would like to produce and finish out. I know there's a lot of stuff from the counterblast game that there's miniatures in the different factions and stuff that haven't been produced yet. We did get some Niran out. I got at least basic Niran, the Clan Sisters and stuff put out in November and so forth. So,
and some Edo.
And we've done some Edo since then. We did the
Edelus and the Strider.
Right. And so those are new, and we hadn't had those before. And as far as the Edo Strider goes, we're still working on some rules and stuff for that, and that will have a PDF attached to it, so that we can go back and make sure that it works with Savage Worlds. It works with the Counterblast 2.0. Vicky had worked up some rules, and we kind of filtered those through Frank a little bit, and he tweaked some stuff, and so now we've got rules for the Edo Strider, which wasn't actually included in the book. So you can actually field that as part of your Edo force now, which is awesome. And that's another thing that we want to do on the hobby show is put one of the Edo Striders together and get it painted up. I'd like to have 2 or 3 of them.
I would too.
And speaking of the Edo Strider, there's some options on that because we want to do some little tentacle arms that you can swap out for the weapons, and then there's the
collection basket.
That's
the
it.
Specimen basket.
The collection or specimen basket. So it's like a little pod that attaches to the back of the Edo Strider's hull, and you could put little dudes in it. Like you can catch them with the tentacles and throw them into the pod for processing later. So, so I think that would be kind of fun. And there's some rules and stuff in there about implementing that in the game. So it makes a strike and then it can swipe people on. And that could be another, interesting scenario for trying to rescue somebody out of the specimen pod or whatever. Yeah. Yep. So anyway, but yeah, speaking of counterblast models, I've been working on some other characters and stuff, and so we want to try to continue to put those out and to kind of fill out some of the basic troops. I know there's like some Illyrians that we want to put out. There's a lot of GDF, Galactic Defense Force miniatures that we're kind of out of stock on now because we're migrating from having those produced in metal, which is really expensive. The price has gone up on that quite a bit, to producing them here in-house in resin. And so I'm resculpting a lot of that stuff. So we've got sentries in the work and all this, but I'm also doing some counterblast character models. And last week I had showed a little bit about Destroys Nulls, which is kind of a unique Edo character, and kind of how I was putting his tentacles together and all that sort of thing. And this week I got Urzarl blocked out. So Urzarl,
he's a Shrenar Black Marketeer.
Yeah.
He's actually an outcast Shrenar called Sheors, and they formed tribes of outcasts, and he's one of them.
Well, I've got some general shapes blocked out, for the model, and I've been recording as I've been sculpting on this. So I've got video of, sculpting his head and then assembling, the body shapes and so forth for this, as just the blocked out. And then I'll record sculpting his costuming and the equipment and all of this, and then, posing the character and that sort of thing. So he's still in progress. But this will give you an idea of kind of how big he is, because here's Brack Maxter next to him. So he's about another head taller, but he's not quite as tall as like the Niren models, which are they're over they're about 45 millimeters tall, which are they're pretty much the tallest playable character in the game, as far as the Niren go. But yeah, Urzarl. So I've got 3 of the. Is it 3 of them? Because we've got Urzarl and then Destroys Nulls
and Unagi.
And Unagi.
And I don't know. I mean, we haven't put trades with Nulls out yet, but but he's probably going to be somewhere in that mix, or is he going to be with the Savage Worlds sets?
I'm not sure. I don't know if he'll be with the Savage World stuff or not. We may go ahead and put him out, ahead of time.
Before,
Before that. when he's done.
Yeah.
Let's see.
He'd be fun.
Yeah.
It sounds like the rain's finally showing up.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounded like it's coming down out there a little bit. Okay, so here's our original Destroys Nulls model. And there's Urzarl, how he appeared last when I sculpted him in Beast Putty. So that'll give you an idea kind of where that character's headed. But I'm going to make some updates to him, and let's see. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. There was an art. Let's see. Oh, I know what I'm looking for. Yeah, here we go. These are going to be some of the characters that we're doing sculpts for on the Savage Worlds Kickstarter campaign. So we've got Zari and Galeo, and I really like the equipment and stuff that he's got. There's some really cool designs for these Alani characters. There's Shar, which is kind of a Shrenar Ranger. He's got a little GDF patch on his arm, which is kind of cool. And some of this art was published in the Counterblast book. Then we've got Shreka. So we'll do a Shreka model at some point.
We'll do all the Mako's Run crew.
Yeah. We'll do those. Frigg is a really cool little Illyrian type of a character here. Let's see. Illyrian Trooper. These are Jessica Blaze. We'll do that with her trusty Gentbot. Then we'll probably do there's Morale from the Mako's Run.
Yeah.
With his really cool
Edo Halberd.
Yeah, it's Then Captain Paz.
Yeah.
So we'll be doing that. There's another version of Shreka that
excuse me.
bless you.
Thank you.
That Giorgio Baroni had painted for us. So, and that's in the Counterblast book. And then we've got Sparg, which would be another cool Illyrian character to do. And then Rania is our cool Shrenar captain.
Yes.
And we've had a lot of requests to have this out as a miniature.
I want that as a 75 model at some point too.
Yeah, we could probably do a 75 model of that, and she would also be a cool bust.
Yeah,
to do
she would.
as,
She'd make a good. Yeah.
Yeah.
All that.
All of that would be cool. So, yeah, so she's coming on that project too. So we've got some art, we've got some stuff set aside, and I know we're probably going to do at least a male and female character of each one of the primary species that we have in the game. So, we'll have a male and female Illyrian, a male and female Shrenar, Alani, and so forth, in order to kind of fill out so that you can use those as, your role-playing game characters in Savage Worlds, or if you have some of our other Counterblast miniatures that you would rather use for your characters, well, you can do that, and then you could use these for adversaries or NPCs, however you want to do that. So what we're trying to do is kind of fill out our Counterblast library so that you've got a lot of variety to use, for the games. Plus, these would be really cool to use for any of the other sci-fi games that are out there, like Stargrave or that type of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of it over on the Stargrave Facebook groups. There's a lot of folks over there that have used our Counterblast models for a lot of their crew selections and everything. So there are a lot of pulp sci-fi thing. Is a lot of fun to use for any of that stuff. So I'm pretty excited about being able to get back into finishing out some of those minis that we've been waiting to produce. So, well, the chat room has been pretty quiet this morning, so it doesn't look like anybody's had any questions or anything for us. I guess Dave and Brandon took a break this week, so I'm not sure what's going on there. But I know we talked about last week the little supers girls that we had from the Patreon, from December Patreon. And we'll go back there. So we just uploaded these to My Mini Factory and to the web store. So we've got the Super Pulp Girls. And we've got Wavefront, Kestrel, and Earthquake in that so far. And I've got a couple more characters that I still wanted to do that I've got descriptions for that I had worked out. I didn't quite get to them, by the Patreon thing. But when I get those sculpted, I'll upload those, and they'll be available on our web store and on My Mini Factory in that collection. But Savage Worlds was running a Kickstarter project. I want to say it was last fall. Was it like November or something like that? I can't remember. But anyway, it was for their Supers companion. So when they put out the new edition of Savage Worlds for the Adventure Edition, Suede is what they call it. They're updating their companion books to go along with that. So their first book that they did, they ran a Kickstarter for the Supers, or Superpowers Companion, or something like that is what it's called. But anyway, it's all superhero stuff. And so I just thought it would be kind of cool to do a few little superhero characters and stat them out so that, you could download the PDF with their little game stats for Savage Worlds along with the STL file if you wanted to print it out. And so Brandon had mentioned last week when we were chatting, on the Twitch chat, he said he could help, with running that through the ringer and making sure that, it was all copacetic with the rules and so forth. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing how that works out. And we'll keep you guys posted on, where we are with that and when you can download not only the STL files, but the PDF to go along with them. So, but it looks like we're about 10 minutes out from 10 o'clock. And so that's pretty much all I had to show you guys this week. Was there anything that you had that you wanted to add that I've maybe missed or forgot about?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention the March offer that we have this month. We have our older, the original versions of Gilly, Evelyn the Explorer, and what's the last one?
You've got Gilly, the original Maria Bot, and Evelyn the Explorer.
And the Maria Bot, and all the and these are in metal because they're the original ones we did, and we no longer sell those in the store, but you have the opportunity to get them if you'd like. Any purchase of that includes at least one physical product thing in the store for $50 or more will get all three figures for free. Mm-hmm. And we'll just it's not going to show up. I want to warn people that it's not going to show up as an item in your order when you place it, but I will include it with your order. Mm-hmm. And and if I make a mistake, hopefully I won't, but if I do, just let me know and I'll fix that. But shouldn't be a problem, and just include them with your order, and you'll get 3 nice metal miniatures that you can't get anymore for free.
Yep, they're out of production now and have been replaced with resin, new resin sculpts. And contrary to what I mistakenly put out on the emailing list this week, you do get all three of those and not pick one. So you'll get all three of them for your order of $50 or more.
You don't have to pick. You will get all three of them.
You'll get the whole set. Yeah. So anyway, but yeah, okay, well, great. Well, I appreciate you guys, coming and sitting in with us for a little bit and finding out what we were working on this week. Next week we'll have probably another batch of stuff that we've gone through and maybe some more sculpt previews and all that sort of thing. And hopefully, we'd love to have you guys jump on and chat with us while we're sitting here talking to you about stuff. So between now and next Saturday, have fun, do a little bit of hobbying, take a break, breathe, and we will see you then.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.